Hello and welcome to the Courage Coalition. Today I'm on a solo cast and we are going to talk about the static, the noise, all the pressure or fog that you find yourself in, whether that be business or personal life, because of everything that is happening in the world, whether that is building your own business and all the should haves or would haves or could haves. Maybe it's just in daily life and the pressure of showing up and doing it all and being it all. Maybe it is just not in a congruent, really aligned place where you feel like everything is right. And I'm bringing this up because this has been an experience for me lately. I have really experienced the need to quiet everything around me, quiet the noise, put myself in places that I can hear and feel and get really, really clear on what's next. Not adding to the list, but just what's next. What is the next step in my life? And the quiet has always allowed me to see kind of behind the noise or behind what I tell myself is noise and actually realize it's something that I need to be hearing more of. But what I want to come back to is the something I talk about all the time, and that's our core values. I think when we give ourselves an opportunity to sit in the quiet, we also need to sit with what are our core values? Because as I've said, they truly are your North Star. They are the way you need to ask, look, question yourself in life when things feel off. And so for me, my five core values, my top five are family, health, courage, faith and service, and freedom. Those are my top five core values. Everything comes back to that. And that number one, family, I have realized has been part of my alignment issues. The reason I'm feeling this rhythm inside of me that's not working. It's a discord is really what it is. It's like you know something's there and you've got to figure out why and what. And part of it is family. I feel like this last year we've been kind of in a funk. We haven't really been on the same wavelength. There's some stresses or some, what do I want to say, some tension in the room when we're all together. And it's making me, or I'm allowing it to make me off. And so we tend to, go through life and there's these tough conversations or these tough subjects that we really don't want to address because it feels heavy. It feels like it's too much to add to the situation already. But my challenge here, or the awakening, the aha I've had is if I don't address it, it's only going to continue. It's only going to continue to add to that weight and that discord. And so the conversations have to happen as parents, as spouses, as friends, whatever it is. We have to have those conversations in order to be in a place where we can move forward, where we can find that alignment and step out of what's not happening or what's not working. And so I'm coming back to those core values again, right? Like what is wrong? Because if something's wrong in those five, then it's going to just knock me on my butt. I know that for a fact. And so the quiet is what has allowed me to say what I want to say is that in the beginning, what I really wanted to do is just run from it. And what I mean by run from it is just not be put in those situations anymore. Then I didn't have to deal with it. I didn't have to feel it and I didn't have to be a part of it. I could just not do it and then it would go away, right? But the answer is no, it won't go away. In some ways, it may even fester more. And when I was having the conversation with my four younger children about how they were feeling and if they were feeling any of this discord or this misalignment, the answer was yes, they were. And so I know if they're feeling it, then others are feeling it, and it's time to address it. But what I said to them was this, is that as the mom of this family, one of my, I think, number one jobs in life is to create a strength in our family, create a knowing in our family that if the worst were to happen, And when I say that, and the way my kids look at it is when mom and dad die, that you guys can come together and stick together and be that force, that foundation going forward. You don't have to agree on everything. You don't have to be the same. I have 6 kids. If you think of those 6 kids all getting married and all having 2 kids, you're talking about 24 different personalities, right? So we have to really, really think about that. 24 different personalities is a lot to take in sometimes. And they're not all going to agree all the time, and they're not always going to get along. And that's fine. That's actually beautiful. But I think what we tend to get stuck in is that we want everything to be the way we believe, what we value. And we forget that there's all these individuals, and we can love them and we can respect them and we can protect them without agreeing with them necessarily. We get to just not have the expectation of what they're doing and living in their lives. Now, if something is dangerous or unhealthy, obviously you don't have to have that as a part of your life. That's a choice you get to make, and you get to choose who you want in your life. But I'm just saying, as a family unit, as that dynamic unit that is the foundation really of your memories, your parents, your thoughts, a lot of different things come into that. It's really important that we ask ourselves, are these relationships important enough to work hard for, to get uncomfortable for? And for me, that's a hard yes. That's an absolute hard yes. And I've had to do it in my own family, like my own siblings. And now it's time for me to build that strength in my own kids and their families as they get older and our family expands. And so that's what I said. I said, it's my job to create this force that can stick together and get through it, get through whatever life hands you, because mom and dad won't be here forever. And I want you to have someone to lean on. And I want you to have someone to hold your hand if life gets rough. And there's no better person to do that than your siblings. So I continue on and we'll continue to have these conversations. But asking myself, okay, so that's part of this. What's the other part that's really creating some friction or just unsettled feelings? And a lot of this comes back to business again. I've been building this business for 3 years, and there's times where you just feel like when you're in business ownership, you're just doing circles, right? Nothing works, nothing changes. You do everything that everybody says, and you're still in the exact same place. And it dawned on me that was exactly the problem. I'm still, kind of figuring out and learning who I am in business, what I'm worthy of in business, because, we have these beliefs, right? At least I'm not going to say at least I do. We all have these beliefs. And, some of my beliefs that I know that have popped up in business are like, who are you to believe that you can build a business? You don't have a business degree. You don't even have a 4-year degree. You have a 2-year degree. But the fact of the matter is that I'm me. And I can build it just as I need to build it for me in my life. But that means I have to get very clear about what that looks like. And there's so much noise about how you should build a business and how you should walk forward and post on social and do this and do that, that it becomes so heavy, especially when it doesn't work. Because what worked for somebody else isn't going to work for you because you don't have the same type of business. You don't have the same values. You don't have the same beliefs. So there's been this really interesting pivot or internal motion of what's happening in what is my business? Where is my business going? And it's so easy, I think, when we get into these places to just give up or quit. But I know that there's a passion in me about educating and assisting and helping and holding the hand of women entrepreneurs as they move through business. in their numbers and in those beliefs and values about money. There's so many women that just never were given any tools or education or information even about money. And so we're stuck in these beliefs that either we inherited from our parents or our culture and our society. Maybe it was from a peer, maybe it was from a professor in school, but we're holding on to these beliefs about money and values and worth and what we're capable of or not capable of as we build a business. And we get away from our core values because we're trying to do it all. And what I realize is it comes back to that for me is one, the freedom to grow a business in the way that aligns with me and my life. But two, the courage to do it in a way that may be different than anybody else's. Because I think one of the hardest things about my business is people think it's all about just your KPIs, right? Your key performance, your net profit. It's really all about actual bookkeeping numbers. But the fact of the matter is that it's not. And this is, unpopular opinion sometimes, but our money is all about how we value money, what we believe about money. And it's in our businesses as in our personal finances. It is not separated. How we believe or what we believe about money, how we believe we are able to earn or save money because of what we believe affects everything we do. And so I can't do it the way another business owner has done it. I can't do it the way another bookkeeping firm has done it, even maybe, because I look at things different. I ask different questions. And so it's really important. What I've realized is it's really important for me to get very clear on what I want my clients to feel. And if that means I only get one new client a year, then that means that's all I get. Because what I've realized is that getting a client just to get a client actually does nothing for me. And it feels really mundane and repetitive. And there's nothing about it that lights me up. And I think I know one of the things my clients say is that, Corey, you make me feel seen. I don't feel stupid when we're in a call. That is the most important thing to me. I want people to feel safe, but more importantly, I want them to also feel comfortable enough to learn something new about their business and their money because I give a space to do that. That is a passion. That's a purpose. And so I've got to get back to that. I've got to get really clear about that because when I sit in that and I talk about that, it's exciting and I do want to grow. But one of the other things about my bookkeeping business that most people don't know is that one of the dreams I have is, yes, I wanted to support my family and I wanted to support my values and my passion to support the foster care industry community. But I also want it to grow just big enough that I can hire a couple stay-at-home parents because this business has always given me that freedom, that that value of family that I've always had to stay at home and be with my family and have flexibility in earning extra money. And I would love that when this business grows big enough to hire my first employee, that it's somebody that wants to do that, wants to be at home, and I can support that person. Because as we all know, it's almost impossible to be a single income family in this world. It's almost necessary to have two incomes. And that means, taking our children to daycare full time, hiring nannies, all the things. And not everyone feels aligned with that. Some people do, and that's great for them. But for the people that want to be at home and have that flexibility, I would love to be a part of their dream and give them the opportunity to have that flexibility. So it's important for me to pivot and really get clear. And as I talk about this, and as I've been thinking about this and writing about this, it's like this weight is released because I'm coming back to those values. And the last part of this is how much I've realized I've missed the foundational Corey, the part of me that has been like a part of me since I was like 6 years old. Like I grew up, I was born to be a mom. I was born to nurture humans. I was born to grow humans. I was born to create spaces that people felt safe in. And because of the noise, I've gotten to that point where I feel like I've let too much of that go because there's just so much to do. Sorry for the tears. But that's really important part of me showing up in everything that I do 100%. If I'm not full in that part of me, the mothering, the nurturing, when I talk about that, you guys, it's simple things like I started baking bread again this year. It was such a small thing. And you know what? I'm not even going to say my kids love it all the time because they don't. They love store-bought and nasty ass bread. But providing it and having it as an option is really important to me. Showing up for more things within their school. I don't need to be the parent club president again. I actually don't want to be that. I don't need to volunteer in the classroom once a week, twice a week, like I've done most of my life. But I do just need to show up more so that I feel a part of it. I need to be able to take part in things more so that I feel a part of it. So, but this was a realization that I had to come to myself. I had to get really quiet and really still and give myself the permission to ask, what's missing? What do you need to feel yourself back in alignment that feels like you are alive and full? And it comes back down to those core values, you guys. I don't know if you're tired of me talking about them yet, but I cannot stress the critical part of your life that they belong and who they are. And I can go back, and these 5 core values have been a part of my life, my entire life. Maybe 1 or 2 has pivoted or changed or been added and deleted. But for the most part, they've been there in some way. And so I'm going to challenge you today. If things feel heavy, if you just feel this misalignment in your soul, it's time to get quiet. Give yourself the permission to sit and get quiet. Maybe that's early in the morning like I like, but maybe that's not. Maybe that's in the evening after the kids are in bed. Have a journal, have some quiet or some low music if you don't like the quiet, but you have to allow your brain to get quiet. So sometimes music is a distraction. For me, it's walks in nature. So I've been spending a lot of time on the treadmill. And so I've reintroduced some of those walks in nature to really get my brain moving. I challenge you 3 times this week to get quiet and ask yourself, what is the weight from? What is the heaviness from? What static can I remove from my life to get more quiet? One of the things that I've done is just literally removing some of the clutter, the physical clutter in my life. After 3 years of building, there's a lot of clutter. And I have just been working so hard because I know that that adds to my weight. It adds to that pressure in my life when I walk in a room or I walk by a pile of stuff that needs to have a home. So I'm working on that really hard to just have that physical quiet also. I hope you took something from this today. And again, I cannot thank you enough for being here. Until next week, I will see you again.